Good evening and welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here tonight, and I will call the regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners to order. Looking for elected officials. A little slim on those tonight, so just glad to have all of you, and I'll ask Trevor if he'll bring the list forward. If you have any electronic devices, please silence those. I'm going to ask Commissioner Tony Crow if he'll give us our invocation tonight, and then we'll have Scout Troop 750 enter for the Pledge of Allegiance.
You will stand with me. Let's pray together. Father, we come to you this evening. We're thankful, Father, to be able to be here, to be part of the county business tonight. We pray, Father, you guide our minds and our hearts as we address the matters of business of the county that we need to. We thank you, Father, for all those who took their time to be here. We ask you to bless them. We ask you to bless the entirety of this meeting. We ask you in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
This is Cub Scout Pack 750. This is our bear den. Color guard, attention. Color guard, advance. Please post the colors. Come on, make it one. Scouts salute. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
2. Color guard, retreat.
Thank you, 750 and the leaders. We appreciate you all.
Thank you.
Action on the April 11, 2017 work session minutes and April 11 board meeting minutes and the April 21st joint call meeting minutes. Do I hear a motion? Motion to approve. Motion by Commissioner Collette. There's a second by Commissioner Crow. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Passes 5-0. Board of Commissioners would like to present the Lyme Disease Awareness Month proclamation to Ms. Sue Maxwell. Ms. Maxwell, you here? Okay. Want to come on up? Anybody had a tick this summer so far? Yeah.
I'm here because May is Lyme Disease Awareness Month for the whole country, and I'm trying to bring attention to let everyone know that Lyme disease lives right here in Paulding County. I know several people that have been bitten here and have Lyme disease. And I have 3 people to bring up. Is it okay to bring them up now? Lori, Summer, and Lisa. And 2 of them would like to speak really quickly. Is that all right?
Sure. Let me read the proclamation.
Okay.
And let y'all go over to the podium. We're glad to have all of you.
Thank you for having us.
Proclamation, Lyme Awareness Proclamation of May 2017 says, whereas warm weather increases outdoor activities and Georgians work and recreate in our woods, fields, and open areas that may be inhabited or infested by ticks carried by wildlife, birds, and domestic animals, And whereas the Georgia Lyme Support Group has provided 7 years of advocacy for patients and has seen alarming numbers of patients seeking support, and whereas according to the CDC, the rate of infection of Lyme disease in the United States could be as high as 300,000 cases this year, whereas ticks can transmit serious and potentially fatal diseases such as Lyme disease, babesiosis, bartonellosis, anaplasmosis, ehrlichiosis, and rickettsia infections, whereas Lyme disease, when not properly diagnosed or treated, may affect the brain, heart, joints, and other organs, and many other diseases, making proper diagnosis more difficult. And whereas new science and testing guidelines have been released from the Agency for Healthcare Research and Quality National Guideline Clearinghouse regarding Lyme and tick-borne diseases, and citizens and medical providers are encouraged to take all tick-borne diseases seriously, and whereas the best protections against tick-borne diseases are prevention, education, and early treatment, therefore be it resolved that David L. Carmichael, Chair of the Paulding County Board of Commissioners, is hereby proclaim May 2017 to be Lyme and Tick-Borne Diseases and Awareness Month in Georgia, and encourage all Georgians to join in this observance. So feel free to go to the podium and share any thoughts you may have.
Well, it's good to see you guys. 10 years ago, 2 months after being bitten by a tick, I couldn't see you. I lived in Brighton, Connecticut. We were well educated on tick diseases to the point that it was on the TV every hour, and if we had even one symptom, they begged us to please go in and get it checked and get antibiotics for it. That's how serious this is in the late stage. When you go and you look at little articles all over the place, they're going to tell you the simple disease. You get a little spot, your doctor says, wow, that must be a tick bite. You must have Lyme. Let me give you antibiotics. In Georgia, they tell you there's no way that that's Lyme. They diagnose you with MS, chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia. You get sicker and you get sicker and you're sicker. I've got 5 people here. I bet you there's 100 in this county in a wheelchair that couldn't get up here. That's how bad it is in Paulding. Education makes the difference of catching this disease in the very early stage, giving antibiotics, and someone being completely cured. Lack of education in this county creates huge problems, and we're going to see more and more of them. Every tick lays 1,000 eggs, 1,000 more ticks with the Lyme bacteria. It's very important that we start talking about it now. We get our doctors educated, we get our people educated, and this disease is caught in its first stages, because second and third are incurable. And it could be your children, your mother, your daughter, your brother. It's here, and a lot of people are suffering and they're misdiagnosed, and it's a shame. Robin?
I'm Summer, actually. Thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to be here. I wanted to tell you guys that what is different about Lyme disease is if any of you in this room go outside, you are at risk. I am about to be 32 years old tomorrow. I'm not even an outdoorsy woman. I got bitten by a tick and didn't know. I went 9 months misdiagnosed. I was unable to get up to take care of my children. I lost vision in my right eye. I have all kinds of symptoms that I could stand here for literally an hour to tell you about. This is a serious disease. The 300,000 statistic that Mr. Carmichael gave, that's only the cases that are reported, guys, and it is very, very underreported. Just to give you a quick explanation of what I deal with on a daily basis when I go to a doctor, the doctors look at me in my eyeballs and tell me Lyme does not exist in Georgia. So basically they're telling me that a tick gets to the state line and doesn't cross into Georgia. I don't think so. So what I want to encourage you guys to do, please, is just to try to be aware. And I encourage you to take care of your loved ones. Spray yourselves before you go outside, because it could happen to you. Thank you so much for this proclamation, because I hope that it makes a difference and at least is able to help some people. Thank you.
I have a question.
Okay.
I read an article, and it was talking about the people who walk the Appalachian Trail. And the question was, what puts more people off the trail than anything? I guess dehydration, but it was Lyme disease. But I also found out in an article that there's evidently an inoculation for Lyme disease. Do y'all know anything about that?
It's considered in educated circles to have been a failure.
It was a failure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was.
There is no vaccine for it right now.
And there's no cure for late stage.
Yeah, if you get bit by a tick and you go to a doctor here in Georgia and he tells you we don't have Lyme disease,
Right.
please
Go someplace
go
else.
somewhere else. You will find a doctor that will test you. Be your own health advocate when it comes to
But
this.
not every time you get bit by a tick, you get Lyme
No,
disease, do you?
no.
But the risk is there. You need to be very vigilant
Yeah,
about
you
any
have to
symptoms.
be vigilant, and there's a scientist, you can look him up, Dr. Terry Clark. He lives in Florida, and he came to Georgia and gathered ticks from Georgia and found many that were infected with the Lyme bacteria.
Our,
You can look
the
him up.
birds carry them here.
Right.
Birds and lizards are the most prominent source
Deer.
of them in the southeast.
Also, to put things in perspective, the Lyme disease bacteria itself is the same bacteria as syphilis. It's a corkscrew-shaped bacteria,
Yeah, it's called,
and that's why it's chronic, because, you know, if you know anything about that disease, syphilis never goes away. It burrows into, you know, joints, you know, organs, so that's why this is so serious.
right, and another thing to know is you don't just get typically one infection from it. A lot of people think, oh, I got Lyme disease, but as he stated, there are several infections you can get from one tick. They're called co-infections. So often you have to treat the co-infections as well.
And we also have forums on the internet. If you are denied a Lyme test by any doctor in the state of Georgia, just put in Lyme disease and our forums will come up and we will get you somewhere that will get you proper testing and proper care.
Yeah,
One way or the
there
other.
are 2 Facebook pages, and we have a lot of resources. We know of doctors you can go to and so forth.
Yeah, we'll get you the help you
Yeah,
need. We're serious
absolutely.
about this, educating and spreading the word, especially in fall. It's so unfair.
Yeah, like
Unfair.
I know a few people that haven't got it in Collin County, and
Yeah.
they're not here tonight, but
A lot of times they're too sick. That's why you
Yeah.
don't see them, you don't hear about them. They're housebound.
We spend thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars traveling all over to get treatment, and that's sad.
Oh, yeah.
I have a doctor here that I've been seeing since I was a little girl. I grew up in Collin County, and he told me, I'm sorry, I can't help you.
yeah.
So,
You often have to go out of state to get treatment.
And we'll even get you an underground guy if we can't get you one. Because plenty of us have done it. We've definitely taken that path. So we hope that if this just helps one person, if you look at a neighbor and say, that looks like what they were talking about in that meeting, then we are just so appreciate the few minutes y'all gave us.
Well, that, one more quick question, since the birthday boy has the same birthday as you do.
And you're the same age.
My wife always wants to take a match and burn me to get the tick off.
No.
that actually causes the tick to regurgitate all of the bacteria, and that's a myth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the proper way to remove a tick, take note, is you want to grab tweezers, grab that sucker by the body as close as you can to the skin and just pull straight up. Don't do any other thing that the internet or anybody else tells you.
Yeah, that is, just get as close to that head and pull back. Don't do it slow. Don't squeeze and empty him out. You know, snatch that booger out of there really quick. I recommend that you put it in a plastic bag because that is your last defense, is that plastic bag. When all the tests and the doctors have told you you can't have it, you don't have it, we
Save the
can,
tick.
we can send it off for you, and if it's got it, you've got it, and we'll get you treatment, guys. We're experts at it. It's so good to see you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
First time, second time, it was
I know you're gonna shake my hand.
If they don't bite me, they die when they bite me.
No, I have to have a picture taken.
Where does he live on this house?
Under bid awards, action authorizing the chairman to enter into a contract with Baldwin Paving in the low bid amount of $1,435,441.62 for construction of the Bill Caruth Parkway multi-use trail project in Post 3. This project will be funded entirely with SPLOST proceeds through the Parks and Rec share of $950,000 and the balance from the DOT at $485,442.62. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Pownell and second by Commissioner Collette. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Reports from committees and departments, we have none. Public participation on agenda items, we have 5. This time I'll call Ms. Sue Wilkins up to talk about item number 5.
Thank you. For what it's worth, I've had Lyme's disease twice. The first time was late stage. I ended up in medical intensive care at University of Penn. Fortunately, I like to believe I'm over it.
Yeah.
Second time, I recognized the symptoms right away.
Oh, yeah, I've had it twice this time.
Yeah.
It's a tough thing to get.
Yeah. I did not come prepared with a lengthy speech because quite frankly there was not enough time in between this morning's meeting and this evening's to write one. But I'd still like to share some of my thoughts with you regarding new business item number 5. At last week's Airport Authority meeting, Mayor Teresa Filial expressed her concerns and disapproval of recent decision-making that's been done on behalf of the Airport Authority without their knowledge or consent. In other words, unauthorized individuals have been making unilateral decisions regarding Airport Authority business without bringing it to the Airport Authority Board for a vote. These decisions, some of which surround the 163-acre deed, have gotten the county and Airport Authority into this mess that's requiring your vote on item number 5 tonight. It seems like old times at the airport, with decisions being made independent of the authority and behind the county's back. Mr. Carmichael, as chairman of the Board of Commissioners, you should sit on the Airport Authority Board representing the people of Paulding County. First and foremost is the chairman's hat you should be wearing on that board at all times. I would like to ask you, on behalf of myself and my fellow residents, to put your personal agenda aside and see to it that the airport director and airport authority are conducting themselves properly and within the scope of the open meeting laws. That would require public voting by the board on all business the authority is lawfully responsible to handle. Abdicating this role to unauthorized individuals to do business in the dark of night is dereliction of duty, for it not only violates specific laws, it keeps the citizens in the dark. As chairman, we expect from you an intolerance of this improper behavior and action to eliminate it. That would be exemplary representation of the county, regardless of one's position on commercialization. The mayor's concern about being a defendant on potential lawsuits filed against the airport authority for actions made by unauthorized individuals and not the board itself is a very valid and justified one. a concern that you and every other Airport Authority board member should have as well. I don't know what happens to people's integrity and upstanding Christian values when it comes to this airport, but it's apparent these virtues continue to be abandoned in exchange for the prize of commercialization. It needs to stop because it makes a mockery of Halton County. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wilkins.
Next, we have Mr. Joe Turner to speak on the planning and zoning meeting. Mr. Turner?
Commissioner, thank you for listening to me for a few minutes. I did go to the Planning Commission today and had a presentation in which they very interestingly listened to, made some recommendations. I would like to expand and request, if I could, additional item or two. They talked about the sound of ordinance, building a wall, and I would like, if they could, to plant greenery in the front of the wall, as they normally do for sound of ordinance also. Number two item is it possible, since they are not working 3 shifts a day except to load and unload the beams, where the beepers are terribly ruining the sleep habits of everybody in the neighborhood, could it possibly be where they turn those beepers off at 10 at night and can turn them back on at 7 the next morning? That's the only two requests I have. And I would appreciate it if the commission would take those into consideration when they vote on this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. Thank you.
The next person is P.O. Brian?
Brian.
Brett?
We are interested in building a grocery store at the corner of 92 and 360. We put forth a proposal to have it zoned commercial. I was up here earlier today and representing Ray Bowden. This is actually his project, but since he's out of the community, I've been speaking for him. So I understand there's a lot of people opposed to it, but you know, it's a grocery store. We have to eat. So and there's not another one really close to that area. And they're going 4-lane both roads. 360 and 92 is going to be 4-lane. It's all going to be a commercial area. So we would appreciate it if we could get a zoning approval on that.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next, I'd like to call John Winkle.
Yes, sir. I'm here to address Mr. Taylor's concerns about some of the noise abatement and other issues that we may have at Metromont. Unfortunately, the equipment can't have the safety devices turned off during any type of shift. It's a requirement of OSHA and everything to do. So our operation has worked on, we work basically 24 hours a day for the last 30 years. So unfortunately, we used to have loud sirens when we stress our cables and different things, but we have been able to, reduce that type of activity. So we will attempt to do whatever we can to help in the situation in regard to that. But I appreciate everybody's help that we've had trying to get this in. This is the last real property for Metromont. We have 20-some acres rented for additional storage at the current time that we would like to stop renting. But, so we would appreciate any help we can get. Thank you.
Is there any way that you check into maybe a beeper having less a noise level, a sound level, or is it recommended that it all be the same?
Yeah, we have basically an OSHA standard that they come out and check our equipment, and we have actually posted in our big cranes. There's actually movie cameras in there where an operator can see 360 degrees around the vehicle as he's driving, and it requires a ground guy to walk with that machine as we're moving, and that person has to hear the audible sound of the machine so that he knows that the machine is actually traveling. So we don't really have a lot of opportunity to shut it off. And they're all automatic.
I wasn't recommending that you shut it off completely. I just thought maybe there was I wonder if it would be a little, I understand the safety device on the machinery when if they're making that noise for the safety of all the people there. I understand that, but I just thought maybe for the residents around it, the employees could hear it, but maybe they couldn't. I guess.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's kind of like scratching your hand on a chalkboard. You know, it's one of those things that are somewhat annoying, but it's necessary to have for everyone that you're working with. Now we had, in respect to Mr. Taylor, that particular area, we're going to do our best. I can't say that it would always be that way, but we would like to finish in that particular area of our yard by 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And that's a possibility, but there's always, you know, something didn't get loaded right or something happened that I have to go out there at an hour. So I don't want to really restrict myself to that, but as a company, we would surely want to take in their consideration of their proximity to the location. And I'd say 90% of the time that would work out in that direction. And we'd make that effort. But there is always that eyeball opportunity. But I think that, you know, we can work towards that for them the best we can.
Certainly appreciate that approach and your willingness to work with the county citizens. Mark Taylor, are you going to come up, Mark?
I presented earlier today and don't really have anything to add. We signed that list reserving our right to speak, but I appreciate the commission and planning commission and staff working with us to come up with hopefully a solution that works for everybody. Thank you all.
Last but not least is Heath Bullard.
All right. I'm speaking on the development of the grocery store, the zoning at Highway 92 in Macklin. That backs up, and I represent 4 of my neighbors. 3 of them work for UPS and good here, so our concerns are all the same. I've lived in that house since 1987 when we built it. Bought it when I first married my wife. So we've seen everything around there. There's a lot, you know, there's a couple of lots across the intersection that have already been zoned commercial. I believe that was zoned residential for many years. I believe Ms. Clark owned it, I think Sam Clark's mother. But our concerns is some of the buffer issues. We do understand that Macklin will eventually 4-lane. We've been hearing that for 15, 20 years. We've been hearing 92 is eventually going to 4-lane. So, and he made the comment that everyone's got to eat. There's a grocery store within 3 miles of each way of that intersection. Walmart, Kroger's 5.1, and then there's another Walmart in Hiram 2.6. So I don't see it being zoned commercial, but like I said, again, our concerns are with some of the buffer. There's a 25-foot already zoning buffer there, which gives us really basically no cover at all. We have two, or excuse me, what am I'm tongue-tied here, strip malls across the street. We've dealt with the riffraff. There was a drug bust on one of them 2 weeks ago Thursday for methamphetamines and other, I think, paraphernalia, marijuana. So again, we have concerns because our children, there's a group of kids that all live behind there. They all play in the woods. Again, we're not trying to stop progress. We're just wanting to stop the riffraff that it may bring behind it, whether it be a Kroger, whether it be a Publix, whether it be a Dollar General, or any of that. Like I said, there's nothing that would protect us from it if they decide to do anything with it. There's a carpet store beside us that dumps between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. every morning, or excuse me, not every morning, between Tuesdays and Thursdays, am I correct, honey? So we get to live with that every day. If it is a grocery store, it's going to have grease traps. We're going to deal with the insects that come with that, the smell of it. And I'm a developer, or I'm not a developer, I'm a surveyor. So I see this stuff. I see it with the people that I deal with in Alpharetta, Roswell. You're going to have smells from the grease traps, whatever it is back there. They've got to give us some kind of protection from it. Again, we can't stop development. We understand everyone's in it to make money, but we don't want to suffer for everyone else to make money. There's, like I said, the people that I represent, we've all lived there. Me and my two neighbors, 30 years, and then the two between us, another 17 and 7. So 7 being the youngest, he represented us today at 2 o'clock at your other meeting. The rest of them all have been there since I was a kid. Other than that, again, we've got issues with where we don't know what's going to be going there. I know it's just zoning. I'm new at all this. I don't do this. So that's my biggest thing is, we don't want to see something and then they do something different. You understand? So we'd like to see a adjustment of the zoning and maybe add some there because, like I said, 25 foot gives us no cover at all. Even if you planted trees, you're taught basically 30 feet from my kid's trampoline. And so, there's concerns again. And it isn't just 3 kids, it's 10 kids. So, and I guess that's about it, gentlemen. So, I think that's it. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Fuller. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Under the consent agenda, action on 2 consent agenda items. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Davis, second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Collette. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Under old business, action to authorize the chairman to sign the transmittal letter submitting the Paulding County Joint Comprehensive Plan to the Northwest Georgia Regional Commission for review. It was tabled March 28, 2017, and by the Board of Commissioners meeting and April 11th Board of Commissioners meeting. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Collette. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Davis. Do we have any discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to say something, Mr. Chairman. I don't know if the public's totally aware of how this works as far as Book 1, Book 2, and Book 3, because of the comment made this morning. Book 1 is what we're really concerned with. Book 1 is, and maybe Ian, you may want to jump in here. My notes, he just explained Book 1, Book 2, and Book 3, but Book 1 is the one that's really important.
Yes, there are 3 books that compose our comprehensive plan, but Book 1 is the plan. It's the most important. It's sort of the guide for future development, whereas Book 2 and Book 3 are support documents. Book 2 contains the land use study and the comprehensive transportation plan. They are backup for some of the items that are been pulled into Book 1. And Book 3, the state of Georgia has some requirements that the public participate in this. And so Book 3 outlines everything we've done in the past 2 years. It's actual things that happen. It's basically minutes from the steering committee, presentations that were made to the stakeholder committee, every piece of input that was received at the 4 community meeting. So those are really a document of what happened, and they're not anything that I really feel can be changed because they're actually sort of how we got to book 1, which is the plan.
Book 3, if you did change something, it'd be unethical.
I think it would be unethical to change anything in book 3 because it's basically a recording of what happened.
But book 3 is not book 1. Just because it's in book 3 doesn't mean it's in book 1.
Correct.
It doesn't mean it's part of it.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion?
And can I just point out again that just submitting this is just to get it reviewed by Northwest Georgia Regional Commission and the state. It is very likely that both or one may have some suggested changes they'd like to see us make. And as we've said, this is still open for public comment, and we can change it up until when we adopt it. And even when we adopt it, it can be amended, added to, or changed. I'll give you an example. If the county or one of the cities ever wanted to charge impact fees, you have to have a capital improvement element, and that would require a change to the comprehensive plan. And just because you do a major update every 10 years doesn't mean you can't update it every year. Or you have to update your work program every 5 years, but there is nothing to prevent you from updating it as much or as little as you would like.
Thank you very much.
Here we go. Appreciate your work on it, Dan. Got a lot done in the last few weeks.
So we have a motion and a second. In discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Moving on to new business, action to authorize the chairman to sign the service delivery strategy between Paulding County and the cities of Dallas, Hiram, and Braswell. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Crowe. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Collette. Have any discussion on this item?
All the cities feel good about everybody's.
Yes, sir.
And this is also a 10-year requirement. Just so thrilled to be able to participate in it during my first 4 months. But my participation has been minor compared to the department heads and the cities and Ms. Pollard, so my hat's off to them. It is a learning experience for the whole board. So any other discussion?
Just a clarification. My understanding, Tabitha, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but this action authorizes Chairman Carmichael to sign. The cities will then vote on their approval and will choose to sign or recommend changes, and any changes recommended would come back to this board for vote for approval. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
We have a motion, second, and discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Number 2, action to authorize the chairman to sign a contract with Comprehensive Program Management Services in the amount of $1,385,000. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Pownell. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Davis.
This is for the jail.
Right. So any other discussion? We talked about it this morning and had a lot of read ahead material. No discussion? Call for a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. New business number 3, action to authorize the chairman to enter into a contract with Heath and Lineback Engineering LLC in the amount of $110,116.02 for engineering design services for the Raccoon Creek Road over Raccoon Creek Bridge as a replacement, a bridge to replace the culverts. So do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Approved by Commissioner Pownell. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Collette. Any discussion?
Are those fish trapped down there, they can't get out of that hole? Yes, sir. Okay.
Commissioner Crowe has a new fishing hole. Any further discussion? Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. New business item number 4, action to adopt resolution 17-13 confirming executive session for the purposes of pending and potential litigation. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Collette, second by Commissioner Davis. Any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Final new business item number 5, action to authorize Smith Connerly LLP to request an extension from the FAA for 60 days to the March 31, 2017 letter and authorize further discussions with the Paulding County Airport Authority on the same. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Pownell. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Collette. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. From the 2 o'clock Planning Commission meeting, we have 2 items. 2017-05-Z, application by Ray Bowden to rezone approximately 5.68 acres from R2 Suburban Residential District to B1 General Business District for commercial retail grocery store. Property is located in land lot 398, District 2, Section 3, on the north side of Macklin Road, west of State Route 92, aka Hiram-Ackworth Highway, at 3479 Macklin Road and 3529 Macklin Road, located in Post 1. There's 14 stipulations, and the recommendation by the Planning and Zoning Board is for approval with a 4-0-1 vote count with the stipulations that I don't need to read. So, I'll entertain a motion at this time regarding this rezoning.
I make a motion to approve with the 14 stipulations.
I have a motion by Commissioner Davis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Crowe. Any discussion?
I'd like to ask if we can have Mr. Robinson address the barrier, the space to be left between the business and the residential zonings. We had a little bit of that discussion earlier today, and if you could recap that about, specifically we talked a little bit about the unaltered barrier or adding to what was there in order to create a barrier. Could you explain what is necessary here and also what would need to be done once the developer acquires a tenant and it wants to move forward with construction?
Yes, and good evening. They're asking for a B1 zone, general business district, which allows the retail type developments. Any properties that adjoin that B1 zoning district, that B1 district has to have a 25-foot undisturbed natural buffer. In some cases, that buffer may not exist enough to screen. That means it has to be planted to provide that screen. There's cases where, because of topography of such in developments, they may have to get into the buffer, but we always make sure it's replanted properly to meet that screening standard of 25 feet. In this particular case here, if it goes, the zoning's approved, they'll have an engineer, once they want to pursue development of the track, that would provide civil plans that goes through a review process. That process includes our DOT water system, erosion control, in this case fire marshal, and planning and zoning. And that's planning and zoning responsibility as a part of our review checklist of these civil plans to make sure that that buffer gets in place. And that follows through all the way to before a CO is issued.
The zoning here requested is in line with what has been planned and forecasted, if you would, for the county.
That area right there, even right now, of course, thank you for the folks in the new plan to review, but we're still using the 2007 comprehensive plan. That actually identified the 92 Maplin roads as a crossroads community, and it was anticipated for this type of retail service type businesses to locate in that area.
Chris, my question would be about landscape design. Will if this passes, will the purchaser, developer do the landscape design? Do we get involved in? My wife and I just planted 25 Leland cypress because it just turns into a tall hedge.
It really does.
But there's some trees you just see under, and you see the density dumpster.
A lot of times you'll see the greenery, that's evergreen trees along buffers to continue a year-round screening between the residents and the commercial development. That location is actually also a highway overlay district. The overlay district requires landscaping plans with a detailed description of the type of material or plants and trees that they would use. They require street trees, breakup of the asphalt parking area with green strips and islands.
Plan review.
And that is a requirement that they submit that. I like to, I look at it that if these plans are being prepared by usually a landscape professional, and definitely my goal is to make sure that they have enough leeway to provide what we're asking for with a plant that is more of a native plant that will be there on years down the road.
Any other questions, discussion?
I'm hearing from the homeowners that back up to this line, they're concerned, there's one gentleman with his children, the trampoline being within 30 foot of the property line. I understand we got the 25 foot in front. Would it be out of line, would it be okay that we added a privacy fence to this thing to help them? Because, well, the developers, when they sold it, to put that up, but they're gonna have trucks come in and pick up those garbage cans, and they go boom, you know, and make a racket. But I believe it would give them a little peace of mind if we did that.
That is not an unusual request in these situations where it backs up to established residential areas. I would suggest that it's on the business side of the buffer.
Rather than the other side.
Because if you put it on the property line, then I'd rather see the break with the landscape and the screening of the plants, and then the barrier fence prior to that. That gives a little more closure. It actually would make it look like they had a lot more area to have back in their backyards. But that's not unusual.
Well, I'd like to just make a commitment to this and have privacy.
Chris, the parking spaces, I know this was a plan that they brought to you, but do you get into counting those parking spaces?
We get into counting the parking spaces. We look at a retail establishment like that. We look at parking space. I think it's usually about every 200 square feet of net floor space. That takes out any of the warehouse storage areas that may be in the back of a proposed grocery store. But that is, when the engineer submits that civil plan, we definitely want to see the square footage and the detailed parking counts on there, because they're also handicapped parking responsibility also.
So is there any wiggle room in this plan when it comes to parking places?
Well, as far as their concept plan, it's a concept. We realize that. It gives us an idea of what they're proposing. Will it change significantly when a civil plan comes in? No, I don't think it'll be a major change. We do have leeway in there if there's something comes in that's a very major change, then we could actually determine that and come back before you guys But that's not usual. They usually do a good job with the concept. Once they get into the nitty-gritty detail, they'll establish areas with detention, retention ponds, and we'll get that landscape plan and see that parking area, how it's going to be actually designed with our transportation, and make sure that the traffic's flowing properly and that it's broken up again with some green area.
And I apologize for this. The gentleman that spoke, that's not on the sheet. What was your name?
McBrayer.
McBrayer. You're representing the applicant.
Right now, he and I are partners in a.
What about a little bit more of a buffer than 25 feet?
Well, I can't really talk for him right now. I'll have to leave that. I'll have to make no comment on that until we talk to Ray. Because this is his project, not my project. He's out of town and I'm standing in for him. There's a limited amount of space here, and he's trying to put a grocery store in, so I don't know how much leeway he'll be able to give.
It's time of the essence for you.
No, not really.
I'm just one up here, but I would like to see us talk to Ray.
I could have him come up, yeah.
You know,
It just wasn't possible today.
Right, I understand. And so if time is not of the essence, which everything I know about it, it's not, I would like to see us have a little bit more of a buffer. My theory is my personal belief is whenever somebody rezones a piece of property, it's all about everybody else around it, and not about the person that's rezoning. And so I agree that that's commercial through there, and it's going to be commercial, but there's also some ways to be good neighbors. And then I've also learned that if we don't get the good neighbor deal wrote down on this piece of paper, that the good neighbor deal a lot of times doesn't happen. So I guess commissioners, if time isn't of the essence with him, I'd like to see if Ray would be willing to do maybe a 40-foot buffer. And be able to talk to Ray, because the last thing I want to do is get something done and Ray's not happy, or Ray can't do it. And that's not what you're willing to commit to.
Right, I'm not willing to.
Let me ask you this, Mr. Connell, and I'm not doing anything other than making a comment. If we begin to alter our ordinances and our setbacks and all, is it kind of a Pandora's box, the next grocery store that wants to go in and another location, they request the same thing?
Well, if they request to go from 25 to 40 feet, that would probably be good too. But I don't think so. I mean, I think that's what the process is for, and that's what happened today during planning and zoning with several things. And so it's up to this board. There's a motion and a second. We're in discussion about it. But if time's not of the essence, I'd like to see if we could talk to Mr. Bowden and ask him and take a little bit more look at it, see if there's something we could do. It sure would make things be a whole lot more pleasant through time. Once it's done, it's done. So if you guys are willing to, maybe we could withdraw that motion and maybe we could table it and talk to Mr. Bowden and bring it back.
Commissioner Davis made the motion, so it would be up to
It's
him
up to
whether or
you.
not he wants to withdraw. Or if not, you can take a vote on the motion that's pending, which right now is approval with 14 stipulations.
If he was here tonight, we could get an answer from him, but he's not here. And I completely understand.
What timetable do we expect that gentleman would be able to appear?
I can speak to him tomorrow.
All right. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to withdraw my motion for approval.
Here we have the motion that Commissioner Davis made withdrawn. Do I hear another motion?
Make a motion, we table this until, is it May 9th? Am I correct?
Correct.
Okay. Table this to the May 9th meeting so that we have enough time to talk to Mr. Bowden. I'll be glad to give you my phone number too afterwards, and Mr. Davis.
Second, yes.
We have a motion by Commissioner Pownell to table to the next meeting, the 9th of May. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Davis. Any other discussion?
I appreciate it.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. 2017-06, application by Metromont, John Winkle, to rezone approximately 20.157 acres from R2 Suburban Residential District to I1 Light Industrial District for a precast storage yard as an expansion to an existing business. Property is located in land lots 614, 615, and 683, District 2, Section 3, on the north side of Rosedale Drive, west of Metromont Road, 467 Rosedale and 505 Rosedale in Post 3. Do I hear a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve with the 15 stipulations.
Have a motion to approve with the 15 stipulations. Is there a second? I'll second. Is there any discussion?
During the planning and zoning meeting, stipulation 13 and 15, 13 was changed and 15 was added. Chris, could you read those please?
Stipulation 13 now reads, owner developer agrees to limited access from Rosedale Road for light duty parking for employees until Rosedale Road has been improved to commercial standards, and to provide a 50-foot setback and a 25-foot landscaping buffer along Rosedale Road's frontage area as approved during the plan review process by the Planning and Zoning Division. Stipulation 15, which was added, owner developer agrees to work with staff during the plan review process to provide some type of noise abatement along the adjacent residential area of Rosedale Road, which is pretty much across to the south of Rosedale Road on the south side and on the very western property line.
Any further discussion?
Is there anything else? That's all you want? I'm looking at you, Brian. That's all you want him to read that? Okay. I don't really have any discussion. I'm going to abstain from this. Not for anything real close, but I'm actually in the middle of a real estate deal with a representative that is representing this. And so I just feel like I need to abstain. It has nothing to do with this, but I feel like I need to abstain.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other remarks? Discussion?
I do think today, in today's meeting, that Metromont did show that they do want to be good neighbors. We'll make sure they do that. There will be a lot of changes too when they actually sit down to planning to verify everything and go over with you. And make sure that the noise and dust, do the best you can. They've been there a long time, and the neighbors have been there a long time too. That's a tough situation because I can see both sides. We've got one of our biggest employers in the county, and we've got neighbors who live there too. You do have to think about both of them.
Any other discussion? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No, I abstain.
And one abstention. Passes 4-0-1. That's the conclusion of our regular business. We have no executive session tonight, no additional public participation. So I'm going to entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Commissioner Pownell. Is there a second? By Commissioner Crowe. All those in favor say aye. Aye. The meeting is adjourned. Thanks for being here.